Hi, she's Trixie, and I'm Sarah, and this is our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of arts and crafts with yarn, with you guys, as we are enjoying it ourselves, or in my case, struggling to enjoy it.
That will be explained later.
Today is episode 24, and we're just happy to be able to get back on track. I know that seems to be a running theme, but last week was... I don't even remember what it was last week. I know that I needed the schedule to change, and then I think miscommunication, because we had rescheduled when the shooting was going to be, and then it just... the communication never was confirmed. But we're back this week, and I know that Mom has a lot of fun things to share, but we invite you to come and grab something to drink and just enjoy some fellowship with us.
And I've just got my plain old, well, I shouldn't say plain old. It's ice water, but it has lemon and lime juice added to it, so it gives it a little kick.
I have coffee. Iced coffee.
Yeah, it's a nice day for iced coffee.
Yeah,
so, I have a finished object, and I want to share it. I made a Patriotic Blanket. It is July, so I guess that counts. My husband is very into 4th of July, celebrating America, and he is a lover of the veterans, and he is just everything American. He just loves it. So I decided, like a couple days after 4th of July, to start on a Patriotic Blanket for him, only because I did have the colors already in my stash, and the colors I don't normally pick patriotic colors when I go, but they came in with the thrift store finds, and so I just thought, since I've already got them, I can just incorporate them. So I decided to do dual layers again. I love doing the scrappy blankets with the two yarns held together. It is half double crochet. I started out with red and white, and then I went to the blue and white. So that right there is really, really good. I really like that. But then we get down to the red, white, and blue, and I mixed it with a tan.
Like a khaki color.
Yeah, and it turned out really good. I really love the look of that.
It looks very, like, camo-y.
Yeah, and I had two rustic of the red, white, and blues, and I had plenty of the tan, so I just kept going in the middle, and then I reversed it to where it was the blue and the red again, so it ended in red and it started in red. And that's how my husband wanted it. I asked him if he wanted it, the other way around, the red and then the blue, but he said no, he wanted it all symmetrical, and it's just enough for a lamp blanket. That's kind of what I'm into right now. And I only did it until I ran out of the yarn, and so he's taller than I am, but it will work. And he liked the fact that it was doubled up too, because when he doesn't use anything, obviously in the summertime he's not going to be covering himself up, but in the wintertime when we only heat with wood and the house gets a chill to it, and you layer your clothes, and you layer, if you're going to sit down for any length of time and you're not moving around, you're going to want something to cover your legs or whatever.
Keep your blood circulating.
Yeah. And so this will be plenty for that. And he really likes it. I decided to call it the American Patriot. So, and I think that's kind of perfect for this. So,
my dad's favorite pastime is watching movies, so honestly, a lap blanket is perfect for him. Some guys if a blanket doesn't cover me completely, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
With my dad, it's more of like, what's efficient, what works for what I need, and because he always needs he's either like dived in with something all the way up to his chest, or he's just sitting there just wanting his legs to stay warm.
Yeah.
So he will. That's a really, really nice blanket. Yeah. This is the first time I've seen it, and I really, really like it.
And he can hang it over the back of his chair when he's not using it, and it will still look okay.
Right. It be very, very fashionable, I guess.
And efficient. I mean, it's something that you can just grab and use.
Lay down, yeah.
But when you're not using it, just flip it over the back of your chair, and it's still within proximity.
And it's actually not so bulky or hard to grab or maintain, especially when the kids want to sit on his lap. You can just throw it over them.
Yeah, that'll be nice too. They can snuggle up.
Mm-hmm.
So the second one is, I'm trying to make myself a wearable, and I'm doing it on my own. And because I was sitting in my chair when I was doing the chain the first time, I ended up making it way too big, 40 stitches too big. So after about 6 inches or so, I ended up ripping it out. And I told my husband as I was doing it, don't get upset. And he looks at me and he's like, don't get upset. And then he saw what I was doing. He said, what are you doing? And I'm like, he says, all that work. And I'm like, yeah, and I can do it again, but right now it's the wrong size, and 6 inches is nothing compared to getting the whole thing done and figuring out it's way too big.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and I ripped it back all the way to the chain, and then I counted, and I did 40 less chains, and I think that will work. You want your sweaters to be a little bit big, especially for winter in Michigan. You're going to want to put layers on, like I was saying, and you might want something underneath it. You don't want it so tight to you that you can't get that undershirt on. That's my feeling anyway. So I wanted it a little bit big, but not so strapping big that you're going to have 15 layers on just to reach your goal of the shirt.
Yeah.
So, and this is the European yarn that I had gotten at the thrift store. The whole bag, like, what was there, 18 or 20?
It was a lot of yarn.
Of yarn for $6.
Yeah, it was really
and
cheap.
So, and it's got some wool in it. It's got 25, I think it's 25% wool. And I can't remember what the other is. But it's very nice to work with, and I think it's like a 3-ply. And
yeah.
So I'm using a 7 hook, which is I think a 4 point. Let me see. I'm gonna go out of screen for a minute. It is a 4.5 millimeter. But it's called a 7, and so yeah, and it's a nice little hook, and I like what I'm doing with this, but it's very it's very nice weave and
even rows.
Yeah, and I'm doing I'm going around. And then when I get to the part where, you have to jog up a little bit, I'm chaining 2 and I'm continuing on. The first time I was going back and forth, but I didn't like the ridges. That was another reason that I ripped out. I was going back and forth, and it was like, oh man, this is going to look like more like a blanket than it is going to look like a sweater for me. So I decided, I had talked to Sarah about it, and Sarah says, why are you going back and forth? Just keep going.
Around.
So I jog up, I chain 2, and I keep going.
She's slip stitching into the first stitch, and then she's chaining 2 and then continuing
Yes.
on. Yes.
And I'm using a stitch marker to know where I began that row.
Yeah.
And then when I come back to the stitch marker, I slip stitch and I chain 2 and I keep going. And I think that it's coming out a lot better. And it's going to be a dense material, but that's what you want for a sweater too. And but it's lightweight. It's only a 3-ply, and it's not. I think it'll be really, really nice when it's done. Now I'm only starting out in this color because I'm thinking they were small balls, and because they're in European language, I don't really know how much there are altogether, the grams or the yardage altogether, but I have other colors as well. I've got two lighter grays, a black, a white, and a gold that I can work with as well. So it's all colors that will go within the parameters of this gray, but I just wanted to start out with a darker color at the bottom. I probably won't use the black if I can get away with it. I tend to stay away from black unless it's with another color, because it's so hard to crochet or knit with black. It's hard to see the stitches, at least for me. I've heard other people say that too. It may not be that way for everybody, but it is for me. So unless I'm using it with another color, I tend to stay away from black. So, and that's my whip for this week. And so now I think Sarah needs to explain why it is that she is in her little funk.
I'm not in a funk. I'm not in any funk. I'm not in any like readers call it when they're they're just not in the mood to read or something, like a reading slump or something.
A slump, yeah.
And I don't feel that that's it. I have the will and want to and drive to crochet or to knit. My issue is that my purpose or the passion behind the ideas that I'm coming up with are not good enough reasons to start. And so I've been on Pinterest for like the last 2 weeks looking for ideas, and I keep getting good ones. The biggest ones that keep inspiring me are ones for the kids.
Yeah.
Because it feels like that would be a good area that I could a good avenue I can go down that I feel would be fulfilling for me with my own kids, being able to make stuff for them. But there's a level of I want to be able to I don't know, the purpose behind it isn't exactly what I'm looking for, I guess. When I get orders and it's specific and they just hand me they tell me what they're looking for, and they give me the colors, and they give me the specifics. I can look for a pattern, I can get the yarn, and I can sit down, and I'm not necessarily having to think about what I'm doing. I'm just able to do it. And there's this mindlessness of being able to just read a pattern and enjoy it and know that I have a reason to be doing it. That's different than just sitting down and trying to be inspired.
Yeah.
I want to feel useful.
Yeah.
And I right now don't have anything calling for me to do it, and so it's very hard to feel inspired when you don't have a need to fill. And normally it's just like I'll make something and I can just, like I have that Mario blanket I could be working on, or I have projects that are not completed yet that I could go to, but I'm also it's not that I can't do it. It's that that's not what I'm wanting to do to pass the time.
Right.
Like, when I'm in the mood to just do granny squares, that blanket's going to be perfect for me.
Yeah.
Like, I can pass the time just making granny square after granny square, and that way when when I have enough of every single color, I can disassemble it.
Yeah.
But I'm not in that mood. I want to make something with a shape or more three-dimensional or this or that, but after making Joy for You, I have no more stuffing, and I haven't been able to go to the store to buy stuffing, and it's like, well, no, I need to make something more flat and two-dimensional. And I've been finding these patterns on Pinterest where you can make your own patches. Like, you can make a flat train and you can patch it onto a bag, or you can it's like you're quite literally making patches that you can put on your kid's jean jacket or something.
Yeah.
And make it more personalized.
Yeah.
Or like make patches for jeans that are or whatever. And I've been wanting to make something, a wearable for the kids that I could put patches on. Whether it be like for Olivia, it could be a purse. For Canyon, it could be a backpack, or they could both have backpacks or whatever.
Right.
I was thinking maybe like a summer hat, because we've been going on walks and I don't have a hat on them, and I could put different characters on them, making it more likable for them to keep it on.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about maybe getting them a shirt that we can just maybe put Velcro or something, and just let it be something that they can make more personal, or get it like a flannel wall piece that they can just play with the things that I've been making, so that it's like playable patches that can make like a story or something.
Yeah, storyboard.
And I'm really thinking that that's something I want to spend my time doing, but I've been a little tight recently with our money after something happened with one of our vehicles.
Yeah.
We're struggling. We had a situation where we had one of our vehicles go in to a mechanic that we really, really trusted, and it was like our oil pump or oil filter or something regarding the construction of our oil container, whatever, and something in that construction had to be fixed because it was leaking oil. And so we had to fix it. Well, when you do that, you have to drain all the oil so that you're not getting spilled all over or whatever. And when they went to fix it, they had just replaced it with like a little quart of oil. Like those little things that you can get at the gas station, like only that much. Well, the tanks that actually hold the amount of oil that like how much oil that vehicle would have needed to actually be resupplied, that wasn't going to fill it. That was just like this little thing. They just kind of threw it in there just to make sure that oil was making it all the way through without leaks, because they were fixing a leak problem.
Right.
They didn't actually fill it back up completely at all. And
and they didn't tell them that they didn't.
They were supposed to. That was part of the job. They have obviously oil in their shop to be able to replace when they do a fix like that. It's not like we had to pay extra. That was supposed to be part of our bill, which we paid. And we pulled out of the dealership, not the dealership, the mechanics, and to just 10 minutes later down the road have our engine seize up because there was no oil, and it grounded everything and broke stuff, and now we have an engine that's trash and a car that the engine was fine not but 10 minutes ago. So a lot of our budget kind of went out the door, and so having a crafter who uses her craft as a way of being able to escape life's tension, a crafter whose kids really enjoy when mom's just sitting down and crafting because they know that mom's in a good mood if she's crafting.
Plus she's not moving.
And she's not moving, so they know where I am. it's been very hard to sit down and feel motivated when I have nothing to pour in the energy for, and every single thing that I want to pour my energy into when it comes to an idea, I don't have all the material for. And so the patches are so far the more likely thing that I'm probably going to try and see if it makes me happy.
Yeah.
They were really cute ideas here. Oh, and by the way, about a week ago was one of my daughter's friends' birthday party. She just turned 3. And so I did make a bag for little Ellie. And I don't know if you're going to see that.
Yep.
Look at that. It's a Granny Square patch bag here. I also made the handle out of Granny Squares. I wish I'd been able to show that to you guys. It really was something I wanted to share with you guys. But I have patches everywhere on my Pinterest. So here, just give me a second and I'll be able to show the ideas of what this is more or less, if you don't mind.
You know, the struggle is real. If you love your craft and you don't have anything in mind to do, it can be a real pain in the butt.
It's like 2-dimensional, so it'd be flat.
But so cute.
But they're so...
Oh.
Like, there's really, really elegant ones for actual men and women wear that you can actually add as a decollage, or what is it? Decoupage? Am I saying this wrong? Am I using that word wrong?
It wouldn't be decoupage, but it would be...
like a mad scientist.
Decor for your outfit.
Mermaid patches. Like, these are just flat, obviously.
Just so cute.
Here, let me see if I can find more of what... Because when you look up patches, regular patches show up, and I was really enjoying those ideas, but like...
Yeah.
Cherries, and I don't know, these ones were really cool. You can make a feather. And these are stuff that you can...
Oh my gosh.
A piece of pizza. It just... You can make a piece of pumpkin pie.
Just like, so clever.
These things are generally used to be added onto blankets. Like the corner of baby blankets, or like to be added onto as the back of denim jackets or something.
Yeah.
I wanted to show a couple more things. Like they had Star Wars ideas, and it was like a...
Oh, wow.
Like, these are the things that make me feel like if I did a house in, like, a landscape, if I had, like, a felt something that the kids could, like... You know, I could make, like, something that they can play and make believe and pretend, because Olivia has been really... As she's growing up, she's about to turn 3 this coming month. She's getting a lot more into playing make-believe, so having that ability to... And all the boys stuff. Granted, I understand that construction and really anything can be boy and girl. Like, it's not any one thing. I'm not really into just saying that, but my son is very much what you would consider the traditional boy, and he loves cars and he loves stuff, and obviously I have no problem with him enjoying that. I was thinking about making that for you.
Yes.
It's a pink bicycle and a bear, and it's just endless. Like, you know, when you go down the road that is Pinterest, you'll inevitably...
There is a lot of clever people in the world, and Pinterest is such a good way to find out just how creative we all are.
Right. And I don't know, this idea of you don't have to go somewhere and buy every detail. You're quite literally able, like, this is supposed to be a carousel.
That. Yeah.
A carousel horse. And so, I don't know. These have been really catching my eye, but then because I have so many options to go for, it's like, what one do I choose? So now I know what I want to do. but for what purpose am I doing it? So what I've been trying to figure out is, what am I making it for? So like, here's an Anna and an Elsa patch from Frozen. Olivia loves Frozen. It's just...
Aww.
It's one of those things where it's like, the inspiration for what I have is good, but I can't just be making patches with there being nothing to patch or place.
With nobody in mind.
Or with no purpose for them.
Yeah.
It just isn't going to work. I'm going to feel like they're pointless, and I'm going to end up getting very frustrated and uninspired.
That's when you end up tearing things out, and your husband says, "What are you doing?"
I thought these were cool because they're supposed to be like from Aladdin, and then the Lion King, and I don't know. I think I'm gonna still do it. Do I make them like a hat that they can put it on, or a bag like I made little Ellie for Olivia and Caniel, or do I purchase some felt or you know what I mean? Like, now you're questioning everything, and it makes it very hard for, like, it's just
football.
Oh, sports.
Yeah.
It's just, they're fun, and I am very happy to have the idea. I just don't know what to do with the idea. I know my mom was referring to a scissor patch. But it's just fun. Like, I just... and then, of course, there's practical patches teaching how to make stuff. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
She will figure it out.
Because, granted, I'm just speaking, because here's the frustration I have. There was this idea that was making a granny square bucket hat, so to speak. And I was like, I could make that for the kids. Each one of the kids could have one, and then I can just put patches all over it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It just, every single time I sit down to make one of the hats, even though all it is a whole bunch of granny squares I just place in the right order, with the top one being like a 6-paneled granny square, or a 5-paneled cornered granny square, I'm just over here just like... I don't know. I lose the inspiration. I don't know. But hopefully maybe someone will just send in an order or something, and I can just go do it and get out of my funk. I am not necessarily in a slump because my desire is there. I just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And
make it useful. Yeah.
Yeah.
On a lighter note, my aunt in California sent me a card. Now, she did make sure she called me, but she also sent me a card, and the card is a little lamb, and it says, "God's incredible goodness shines through you. Thanks for sharing it." And then her personal message was, "Dear Trixie, thank you for the beautiful ice cream afghan. It's so soft, and the colors are so pretty. You really brighten my day." And I just wanted to share that with you, that, it's you think about other people while you're doing something for them, which is what she's trying to figure out, but they think about you when they send you
when they look at it, they're thinking about you. And then when you're making it, you're thinking about them.
And her phone call and her kind card was just proof that, it was worth the time and the effort. And it was very, I told her, that it wasn't necessary that she did it, but I really appreciated it. And on that note, I have a scripture here, and it says, "The joy of the Lord is your strength." Nehemiah 8:10. Now, the joy of the Lord is my strength, and the joy of the Lord is your strength, and the joy of the Lord is your strength. And so our strength comes by the Lord being joyful. And if He's joyful and He's in joy over what you're doing, you get strength from it. And when I read that this morning, I was just like, the joy of the Lord is my strength. The joy of the Lord. He gets joyful at the things that we're doing, and it gets us stronger. And our strength is coming from him. And I was just like, oh, I got to share that. So, do you have any thoughts on this verse?
There are things I've been told when growing up in church, that there's some things like, the world is always dealing with this need for the pursuit of happiness. We as humans crave this pursuit of what makes us happy, what makes us feel fulfilled. And yet, it's very rare that you actually hear those terms in the aspect of like joy. You don't hear us humans ever using the word joy, unless it always seems to be in a very biblical sense. Not saying that it doesn't happen. Well, I would never say that. But in my experience, when I hear people talking about just wanting to feel fulfilled, they're trying to find their own happiness.
Right.
And yet, no one's ever just saying, I'm trying to find joy. Because if I'm correct, now I might be wrong, joy, one of joy's definitions is the happiness of God. And so it's very specific.
That sounds good to me.
Joy is a happiness only received by God, or only ever given by God. So when you're saying the joy of the Lord, or God has given me joy, it's literally this, God has given me this piece of himself, or has given me something that the blessing of God, something only he could give you.
Yes.
Specifically,
yes.
as your creator.
Yes.
That would be able to fulfill the need that we crave.
Yeah.
And we will never be able to reach that place of joy without him, because we can get happy, but to have the happiness of God is something that we can only receive through him. Yeah. And so there's this level of joy is only ever able to be achieved if you're wanting it in only with him. And so it's like, if you want true happiness, the joy of the Lord.
Yeah.
And, he talks about our obedience being one of the things that he loves the most. Yeah. And it's not that he's asking us to be blindless robots.
No.
Nor is he asking us to not ask questions. There are times that all God wants is for you to communicate with him. A lot of the times, if he's asking you to do something that's making you uncomfortable, just ask. Just talk to him. Just be like, this makes me uncomfortable. I want to be able to please you, but this is hard for me. I know that you might not open up everything, but why?
Yeah.
And you're allowed to ask God questions.
Yeah.
You're allowed. There's nowhere in the Bible that says that he will not receive your questions.
And you're not going to surprise him. He already knows.
I mean, there's places in the Bible that prove this. Even some of the harshest areas of the Bible. I mean, if questions were a bad thing, then when John the Baptist, after his whole entire life mission was to to spread the word of the Messiah, was literally the Messiah's cousin, went after the heresies, spoke the truth, was zealous, black and white, candid, was willing to cut through to people, to the bare bone, was the first person to start baptizing people.
Baptize Jesus.
And then Jesus walks in and he's like, I'm not even worthy. Despite my whole life mission being for you, I am not worthy. And he's just like, we're not going to be able to further do what God's called us to do unless you do this.
Yeah.
Do this. Heaven's open. Dove comes down. This is my son. And then John and him go their separate ways. Jesus going to perform miracles as John is still doing his mission and preparing for Jesus' return. I specifically think that up until that point, I might be wrong, but up until that point, that particular place that John went to, Jesus hadn't gone to yet, so it's part of the reason that he went. I do think, I might be wrong, but then Herod was with Herodias, or right? Yeah. Is that how you say? Herodias, which was his brother's wife, publicly having an affair, and he calls them out. He's like, you're sleeping with your brother's wife. That's not right. Don't do it. It's not a good thing. Everyone would at least be able to respect you if you were just willing to be like, this is wrong. I'm no longer going to do this. Made a mistake. Yeah. Just stop. Yeah. This is not okay, especially in your position to be flaunting such sin around the city. Yeah. And he legitimately, Herod himself was angry, put him in jail, but never had any sort of intent to kill John. Well, he knew John's position in the community. It would have been a very bad political move to actually hurt John. He just was frustrated that John was calling him out. But then, Herod's fling, Herodias tells her daughter, hey, pretty much seduce him, get him to say that he's willing to do anything for you, and have him kill John, which is what happens. But before John is sentenced to death, John is in prison, and he can tell that this is what's about to happen to him. He can tell that Herod is not going to be strong enough to withstand what he's done. Yeah. And he says to his followers, go find Jesus and ask, are you really the Messiah? Have I done my job? Yeah. Did I do wrong? Were you actually what I've been looking for? Yeah. He legitimately knew when Jesus came that it was. He bathed his feet. He baptized him. He saw heaven open up, the angel come down, the dove. He heard God's voice. He
saw the Trinity. God the Father, God the Son Jesus, and God the Holy Spirit with the dove.
Like, he knew. But he was scared. He was in a very uncomfortable position and asked God, are you really the Messiah? Are you really God? And what did Jesus say? Blessed is John above all men, for he has made God happy. He has done his good work. Yeah. He praised him. He didn't look at him and say, oh, he who lacks little faith. He did not criticize him. No. He came to God to ask the questions. Jesus himself said, ask and it'll be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. It's okay to ask. And there's just this aspect of, am I allowed to be happy? Yeah. Am I allowed to have joy? Am I allowed to even want to have that? Am I worthy of that? Yeah. And there's this concept of, I don't want to, especially, I know a lot of my friends have this issue with Christianity or this walk that is, I don't want to be this mindless person. I'm just like, we're not mindless. This isn't just we're reading a book and just following it. This is a relationship. This is a daily understanding of God. And I said, yes, he wants our obedience. But he is not here just wanting us to be mindless. He's okay with our questions. He's okay with what we have to talk about. He wants this two-sided relationship. Right. He wants us to be able to be with him. But if we want to be able to experience his real joy, it's in our obedience and in knowing that, hey, as a parent, when my kids are obedient, I want to praise them. I want to get excited. Yeah. I want to give them the treat. I want to express to them how good they're doing and send them with all the affirmations and all the gifts.
It gives the kids strength to know that they're pleasing their mom.
Right. And it's that relationship. It's that whole, but it's not always easy. I guess that's what I'm just trying to say. You know, we're looking for the joy of the Lord. It is a God-given thing. It's God's given happiness. And yet it's so hard when we want to be able to have that pursuit to be something that we do on our own, but it's not always possible, especially when we don't know our way. Yeah. And so if we're willing to accept and give our lives to God, He will make a way.
Well, and I don't know. I think joy being the only thing that will fill the hole in our hearts, coming from God, He is the only one that's going to fill that hole in your heart with the joy that is His to give. And if that is what gives us strength, that's what we should do.
It's like the donut man. Love is like a donut. It's like a donut. It's like a donut. A life without God is like a donut, 'cause there's a hole in the middle of your heart. And Donut Repair Club, they literally take the donut holes and they're stuffing them back into the donuts and they're repairing the donuts. That's what that's.
Oh, okay. But
Olivia's been watching that,
yeah.
So I have that stuck in my head.
So Nehemiah 8:10, and and I think with that, we're gonna close this video.
We kind of went a little bit all over the place with our little God talk. If you have more questions,
or you need prayer
or clarity, this isn't us preaching to you, telling you to do anything that is not in your time or not anything, or right. If you're struggling, we get it. We're just expressing our understanding and where we are at in our walk with our God.
Right.
With you, as it's very much intertwined with how we spend our time
and how we walk our lives.
Yes. So no, we're not trying to come off oppressive or pushy or anything. This is just us sharing with you and fellowshipping with you. But if you have any questions, we have an email attached in our description. Yep. Obviously, comments are more than welcome. And we would love to hear from you. Prayer requests are always available. And we are even willing to know if you guys have any suggestions for videos that you would like us to do.
Yeah.
Any sort of tags, or if you have any questions, or if there's anything you would like to see us try or maybe review, we would be more than willing to see if it's in our capability to do so. We're more than welcome to do those things as our channel is starting to get a little bit more traction.
And question of the day, are you struggling to find your next project?
Yeah.
You know? It seems to be
dumb.
a thing that's going on right now, and it is summertime. It is harder to find things that you want to do, but it can be solved. And let us know if you're struggling at all.
So yeah, we are gonna go on the rest of our day. Hopefully I get better inspired. I'm so tired right now. I probably look like high or something throughout this whole thing. My eyes have just been droopy, but I just didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I promise. It's nothing bad. But thank you for watching us today and fellowshipping with us, and we hope that you have a good day and stitch your way
to mental health.